Astrology time is Sunday. Today is the 9th of August, and this is Shane with daily-astrocat.com. The moon is going to be void of course today. We have a big day of astrology for you, so make sure you stay till the end, okay? Because we touch on a whole bunch of things, okay? So the moon's void of course at 1:27 in the morning and enters Cancer at 3:45 also in the morning. Now, there's an intuitive shift that we're undergoing today, and we are still undergoing it, right? There's a creative revolution we are quietly going through, and that is going to redefine our personal approach to a lot of things. Now, today is going to feel noisy. Mercury is in Cancer for the morning, right? And we're tired of the same old antics, the attacks on our memories, and the attempts to actually rewrite history itself. Today, I'm asking you to remember history as you lived it. Now, the same forces that cause us consternation are part of the solution today. So think about that, okay? Now, the expanded cradle, there's a cradle, right? We were talking about that cradle we've been talking about between Pluto and Neptune and Uranus, forming that nice sextile, and then we had Mercury and Jupiter in the next position, and then Venus extending that out with Pluto at the other end, right? We had that cradle there, that nice, gentle cradle, okay? Cradles are kind of, they're incubators in a way, right? And they're not the full-on thing that we really need to do, right? Now, that cradle, the sextiles that run from Pluto to Venus, it contains a grand air trine today with Venus, Uranus, and Pluto. And there's a T-square that's going to involve the Moon, Neptune, Venus, and there's also one with Venus, Mars, and Neptune as well. So think about where we're going, how we're doing this, and what we're seeing right now. I don't like that. Okay. Now, there's a T-square involving the Moon, Neptune, and Venus. This makes the cradle feel somewhat more active. Cradles are gentle incubators, like I said, and are generally positive, but they can lead to a bit of complacency. Kind of like a trine, right? The trines are easy energies. Sextiles are a little bit more friction there, so they're something that you work towards. That cradle energy is more trine-like in a way, so it's more beneficial, but it's easier to not quite see. Now, all of this activity and the fact that both Venus, Jupiter, and Mars are entering the picture have extended the sides of this pattern and are making me think of this moment in time as a more active, more profound, and more destined, right? There's a feeling of destiny here, right? We've been talking about that with where we're going with the Lionsgate portal and everything, right? So, look, and this is much more actively churning inside of this whole cradle formation, and we're going to get to the video tomorrow. I'll release a video tomorrow that'll have some diagrams with this stuff. So make sure you lock in, subscribe, stay tuned, and stay tuned for that coming out tomorrow. Now, the cradle, that cradle, no longer a cradle. The sides are bigger. It's a cauldron. And we got some stuff down below that's firing it up. So let the spells begin. And today's keyword is ambition. So let's talk about this, okay? Our color is raw linen or flax. Now ask yourself, what has changed in your life since February 17th of this year? Ponder on that for a minute. And what about April 25th? Now, the first event was the prequel of the nodal shift that occurred on July 29th. That's when the nodes went from Pisces and Virgo into Leo and Aquarius, North Node being in Aquarius. So that was the solar eclipse, right? That was that solar eclipse in Aquarius. We talked about innovation then. We talked about differentiation, how we are unique and how we're going to go forward, and the gradual impetus to move towards changes that need to be made structurally in society that Pluto in Aquarius is likely to bring about. Now, that being said, The second date that I gave you is when Uranus entered Gemini. Okay, so now we have Uranus in Gemini. Uranus in Gemini took a while to get going, but we can see how Uranus leaving Taurus left that focus on the market and has rather exposed how the markets are being manipulated through communication, right? Now, by the people in power, of course. This is insider trading on steroids at this point. And since April 25th, there's been a gradual attunement to some of these frequencies. Think about that. April 25th, when Uranus went into Gemini, there's an attunement to various frequencies that I've been discussing. And as a result, there are more people discovering astrology. And it's not just due to me, but it's due to just a general... It's the cosmos. It's what's out there. Now, Uranus is the ruler of astrology, is considered to be the ruler of astrology, so this makes sense in an astrological way. This will seem transitory, but it's not. This interest in astrology is not transitory. It's going to be here for 7 years, folks. 7-year itches, right? That's where we're at. We got Uranus in Gemini. So keep your eye on what is going on. Uranus in Gemini, Pluto in Aquarius, and Venus in Libra will trigger the people as well as the justice system. We're talking Libra things now, right? How will these things interact? Well, can go either way, right? For now, it is all for show, but eventually the digging will begin. Mars in Cancer is going to want to understand where the energy is being fouled up, and this, in turn, will be very interesting. Now, cardinal energy is tense today, but it's part of the overall emerging pattern, that cauldron, right? It's kind of like that. It's like a reactor, you know. It's an alchemical thing. We're changing ourselves with that cauldron. That's really what we're doing. So now, look, I'm going to use my intuition. I threw that out there, right? I did. I just threw that out there. There's no precedent for it. There's nothing for it. But it seems to sum up where we're at right now. So this is now this is going to click with half of you almost immediately. You're going to be Cauldron. Yes, we fly, right? Grab our brooms and let's go. The rest of you are going to be like, well, you know, this is kind of like a little bit. It isn't. This is you know, the crucible of our very being that we're actually tending to. This isn't some, you know, mystical crones around a fire throwing all sorts of vile things into it to make some kind of potion. The potion that we're making is actually ourselves, and what we're doing is we're changing ourselves as we go through this whole process, go through the 8-8 process, that portal, if you will, to be able to take the message from within us, distill it, and then be able to bottle it and put it out there for our own benefit, which is going to be something that's going to be very, very important. Now, the cauldron concept, though, think about this. The faster you embrace this, the more rapidly you will experience some personal growth. The cauldron concept is going to be very temporary. This cauldron that formed, Venus is going to move out of that probably by Friday. So it's going to so this definitely coincides with that 8-8 portal. Now, as our listener from Lithuania said, Povilas Saponis, he said in our comments yesterday that, look, I'm going to quote him, but this is a unique opportunity for us to add our voices to the sun's and I'm going to quote Povilas now, the sun no longer speaks but sings to all forms of fire, with fire being creativity. So, the things that you can create over the next few days will be off of the charts. Use that creativity wisely. Thank you, Povilas, for that. Now, use your words to unite, inspire curiosity, and to spur innovation. Following your own path is your path to freedom. The powers that be want you to spend and struggle against one another and remain impoverished. There are better ways, and creativity is definitely your key. Today, you have been given the tools to discover yourself in this deliberate cacophony. Finally, Mercury enters Leo at 12:28 p.m. That's our last aspect of the day. And that's going to occur just after noontime here on the East Coast. Begin singing your song. Set some goals, make some contacts, and push your creativity. We have already defined what is creative, and it is not bound to just the arts, right? We talked about that. It can be in the 3D or the 5D worlds. What we have done and what we are working towards already has a momentum of its own, right? So if you did something 3D and you're expecting some return from it, that already has its own momentum. Same thing with you, but you have a chance for now to really to take what's there, right? To the energy that remains, and it's going to give us an opportunity to fork off in another wilder direction, and which will be more aligned with who you are on so many different levels. If you're here for it, do the thing, right? Leave the comments, share the video, save it for later. Go back and rewatch this. Please, please, please pursue that passion with everything you have over the rest of this week, okay? It all begins today after Mercury enters Leo. Okay. So I appreciate and love every single one of you. As you see, we take these comments that you give and we really run with them because you're adding something to the conversation. And that is a beautiful thing. So on this date in 1974, talk about societal changes. Richard Nixon resigns as President of the United States, and Vice President Gerald Ford takes the oath of office to become the 38th U.S. President. How do you like that? And our birth is P.L. Travers, born in 1899. She died in 1996. Who is P.L. Travers? Well, she's a Australian-British writer who created Mary Poppins, and she was born in Maryborough in Australia. And she was born Helen Linden Gough, and it's actually in Queensland. So, look, as a teenager, Gough began publishing poems and briefly worked as a Shakespearean actress under the name of Pamela Linden Travers. So, there you go. So now we've got P.L. Travers, and she actually emigrated to England at 24. She published the first Mary Poppins novels, I think there were 7 in all, in 1934. Okay, so basically that's what we got. So there you go. So she emigrated at the age of 24, not 1934, but she published in 1934, and that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate and love every single one of you. You ready? Let's recap, shall we? Let's go. Today, our color is raw linen or flax, and the key word is ambition, which you should be burning with right now. And really, let me see some of the stuff. Post links to it. Give me the comments, okay? I want to see what you're working on. And today is a 7. Happy astrocatting.